Hey guys, my name is Shubhankar. I work in Accenture as a data scientist. I've been working in a field of data science for the last 3 years, and in this video, we will be implementing a complete clustering algorithm inside Python into Power BI. Right. For those who don't know clustering, so clustering is an unsupervised machine learning algorithm which is generally used for customer segmentation. It's a backbone of recommendation engines, and it's basically an algorithm that help you cluster your data points into different groups based on distance between them when they're plotted into a hyperplane. So there's a complete maths behind it, but for the sake of the length of this video, let's just understand the code behind it. And what we will be doing in this video, we will be implementing that clustering algorithm into Power BI, right? So Power BI, if you guys don't know, it's a visualization tool developed by Microsoft. It's free to use. So the thing is that there is a limitation of Power BI when you run the Python code. We will be seeing the limitation and the potential of running a Python script inside Power BI in this particular lecture. And we will also talk about why we want to do this, right? So the basic need of it is that when you let's say you have a data and you want to run an analysis on it, right? You just want to plot some graphs out of that data, right? So the more favorable and easier way to build a graph of it will be to put load that data into Power BI, and then you can easily make graphs on it compared to if you use a visualization library in Python, let's say cbound or matplotlib. But the limitation here is that when you're using Python to run analysis on data, you can do much more things that you can do in Power BI, right? You cannot run a machine learning algorithm or inbuilt algorithm that is present in Power BI. You have to use a script or some auto ML things, right? So that is a limitation. So what we are trying to do in this particular tutorial is that we want to run a clustering algorithm, basically a machine learning algorithm, as a Python script into Power BI, right? So that we can utilize both the visualization, and we can also visualize the result that we are getting from that machine learning algorithm, right? So follow along with me in this lecture if you want to, because if you have a Python installation and Power BI desktop, which is completely free to download, you can just follow along with me and you will have a good project in the end of the video. And just or just sit back and watch me do it. And I believe in hands-on learning, so my personal preference would be that you follow along, and let's get started. So this is our code, guys, in simple Python notebook that we learn for that we can run for clustering. So I just have imported pandas data frame, and I've used scikit-learn's library to import k-means, which is one of the clustering algorithms. And then I have got this data. So let me just walk you through the data once, so that it will be easier for you to see what we have, right? So we have our employee data, so it's like employee ID, the gender, age, and I've made this data so it's a technical skill level, communication skill level, and like does the employee have a higher education or not, right? So basically if they have masters or PhD, so they are marked as 1, otherwise they're marked as 0. Just like simple data, because the purpose of this tutorial is to see like how we can integrate Power BI and clustering, or basically Python. It's not to go in the in-depth of clustering algorithm. So I've taken a simple data set. So once you load the data set into pandas using pd.read csv, and then you can just what I've done is, of the gender column that we have, it's like I've made a dummy of it so that the machine can understand it. Basically I've converted the categorical column into numerical columns, and then after that I have just imported the clustering algorithm. I've taken the number of clusters as 4. Generally what we can do, we can either use one of the methods like elbow method or silhouette score to find the optimal number of clusters, but here I have taken number of clusters as 4 as a random number, and then I have just fit the data and if the predicted number of class, and then I've added the class to a data set, right? So now what we want to do, we want to do this the same thing in Power BI, and then as I said in the start of this video, the purpose is that once we have this column, right? So we have the already present column as well, and we have a column generated from machine learning algorithm as well, right? So now this column additionally can also be used in visualization, right? So all of your things like initially what used to happen, we are doing visualization. If you just have to make graphs, I can do it in Power BI, and for some running some Python script, I have to do it in separate notebook, and then I have to import the data. But if I run it this way, I can just run the Python script in the Power Query editor, and use the data for visualization, right? So it will be a better process. So yeah, let's get started. So first step will be to open Power BI, and once you have open Power BI, you have option to get the data. right? So you have to get the data, and I've used this data. I'll put the link of this data in the description of this video. So we have this salary data that I'm using. So let it load it once. Yeah, so we have this data. So I'll go to transform data because I have to make some changes into the data, and then let's get started. So you see we have employee, gender, age, technical skill, communication skill, and higher education. So first thing I want to do is the same thing that I did in my Python code. I want to convert the categories for this. So I'll just make a conditional column, right? So I'll have go to add column, go to conditional column, and add a column of, let's say this is gender, right? So I'll add gender category. Okay, so if my column name of gender is equals to M, then I'll output as 1, and else it's 0, right? So basically for females, which is F, it will go to 0. So it's just like one hot encoding, right? So you have taken higher education, gender category, communication skill level, and technical skill level, right? Now what you want to do next is you want to run a Python script for basically clustering. So I'll go to transform, and there's an option of run Python script, right? And I'll go to run Python script. Now remember guys, when you are starting to run this Python script, you basically have to first prepare your Power BI for this, right? So let's say I go to apply changes one. I think I have some unfinished business here, right? So let's cancel this one, and if I go to Power BI, and I'll go to options and setting, and here you can go and change your Python parts, right? So I'll go to Python scripting, and you have to put the path here if it's not present here, right? Then only you can run the script. Basically it's using your Python installation that is present in your computer to run that Python script. If it's not present, generally it detects automatically if it's present, but if it's not present, you have to install and like do check once that whether it's present here or not, right? So once it's there, you can you're ready to go to implement a Python script here. So I'll go to run Python script, and I want to run a script here, right? So I can write the whole script, but let's just copy that one I have here, right? So I need these two libraries. So if your Python installation have these libraries, you can use these libraries in here as well. And whatever data set that you have in the last step, right, it's use that data set as the input data set, right? So for example, let's say, see, dataset holds input the input data for this script. So in my last step, I had that data stored in what data set, right? This data set hold that thing. So as of now, what I was doing, I was storing all of my data in df, right? But now df is not my data. My data is this data set, right? So what I'll be doing, I'll be taking that let's say I want to run my algorithm on df1. So this will become my data set, and I'll do this, I'll remove this get dummies part anyway, right? Because we have done this, right? And I'll use data set and drop of employees from the first axis. Why I'm dropping employees? Because employees column is like kind of a row ID of this. It does not contribute in clustering. If you will feed employee to employee column to your model, it will basically take it as a number, right? So it will mean that the row that is present in 14 has a different value, and 14 is greater than the row that is presented to, which is not the case, right? It's just an ID. We don't want to use ID for clustering. Clustering is generally done based on a behavioral data or some sort of financial data if you're doing from financial clustering. So ID is not something that we use for clustering. And we'll run the same algorithm. df1 is the data set I've created by dropping the employee table. I'll run the df1 algorithm on, I'll imported the k-means in CLUS class, and then I'll fit CLUS with df1, and finally I'll add this class column in my data set, right? So I hope this small code is fine, but see the purpose of it. I'm importing the libraries as well as here, and I'm running this Python code as well, which is basically using pandas and a library of scikit-learn, and then I'm running this, right? So try to understand this, guys, that this Python script is being run on your Python installation only. It's being integrated into Power BI, right? So once I run this, hopefully I won't get any error. It's asking me to privacy levels, you can ignore it for now. We're not doing anything kind of secure, so you can ignore that thing. I've got one error. Let's say could not convert string to value float. Okay, so I have taken gender as well, right? So I have to exclude that one, right? So I'll, in place of that, I'll take gender, right? So let's see. Okay, I had gender and I had gender category, so I'll remove this gender part, F and M. But instead of removing, I think if we'll drop it, it will be better thing, right? Because we can then use gender this M and F into visualization if we want to, right? And we can use gender category inside our Python script, right? So when I'm doing this employee, I'll also drop gender, because it all rest all the columns are being used, right? So gender category is automatically being used for clustering, so no need to use gender here. So I think it should run now. Yeah, so it has produced two data set, guys. The one is data set and the other is df1. We stored our class labels into a data set. So when I'll check data set, it will have one column of class, which is our classified cluster for that particular item, right? 0 3, you can see it here. So let's get a gist of it, right? So if I see a person with a good technical skill, good communication skill, and he has a good age as well, it has been denoted to class 0. Okay, and if I see someone with you know less technical skill and less communication skill, goes to a class 1, right? And if I have seen someone with a good communication skill, good technical skill, again it's going to class 1, right? So you can see that we have a kind of a meaningful clustering here. And let's just use this data for visualization, right? So our purpose was to run a Python script here. Now I will see the advantage of it, right? So at this point we ran this Python script, and now we can see the advantage of it. Okay, that one particular column, class column, it came from a machine learning algorithm, and then we'll use this class column in visualization, right? So I'll just go to home and do a close and apply. So whatever changes we did were now automatically applied to our desktop, and we can use that data, that what I have prepared for visualization, right? So let it load once. So 100 rows downloaded. Okay, so you have this class column now, which is coming here. And let's remove this. We have already applied this. So let's make some visualizations now. Okay, so we would have a column of employee as well, right? So let's make a scatter plot first. Okay, and I want to see all data points, and then I want to label them by class, right? So that we can see a different so on x-axis, let's take employees, and let's not take sum of employees, let's take count of employees. Okay, and even don't summarize it, right? We don't just want all the numbers. And on y-axis we'll take age. Okay, so it's like age of all the employees. And we want to basically put a hue of class here, right? So you can see, guys, here that we can see a proper division of age groups here, right? So you'll see light blue here, then there's a purple, then there's orange, then there's a proper blue, right? So it's basically showing that all of your clusters have been justified by age groups, right? So like they have a huge impact on it. And like this is like a proof of proper clustering, that whether when you're plotting these points that you have clustered, are they making separate groups that are visually separatable or not, right? So that was the first graph that we made. Let's make one more graph. Let's make some bar graphs. Okay, let's make some bar graphs of okay, we for this you wanted scatter plot only. Okay, for let's make a bar graph. Okay, let's make a bar graph of the skill levels that we have, right? We have technical skill and communication skill. So on the y-axis I want all the classes that we made. X-axis we want all the classes, and on the y-axis I want the average of technical skill, right? This is sum. I want an average of technical skill. So you'll see that for class 3 has higher average of technical skills, and here you'll also see 3 is my purple, right? So basically a person, it shows that we can see some hidden trends as well. So what we have observed in our data is that a class 3 is something which person have higher technical skill and belong to a certain age group of, let's say, 35 to 45, right? Something like that, right? Because 3 hour is this. And similarly we found average technical skill. In a similar way I can form, I'll just copy paste this one, and I can form average communication skill as well, right? So in place of technical skill I'll take average communication skill, and I'm saying this sort of thing. Sorry. Okay, so again we are seeing that average communication skill for class 3 is good, and that is something we wanted to make. Okay, let's see some more visualizations that we can utilize for here, right? So let's take a count of employees. Okay, that would be a good graph. Okay, I just want to take a count of employees. Let's make a stacked bar graph. On x-axis I'll have no, no, on x-axis, on y-axis I'll have employees, I guess. No, no, on x-axis I'll have employees, and it will be a count of employees. Okay, and on y-axis I'll have my classes. Classes could be there, or higher education could be there. Yeah, and then I'll put a legend of class here, right? Yeah, so this can be one graph. So it's basically shows that when you are having a person with higher education, most like there are less number of people in the second class category. Guys, what you can additionally do, like this is I've just done for the sake of understanding how to integrate a Python code in Power BI. But additionally, what you can do is you can label these things, right? So if I go back into transform data, I can label these things out. I can change the value of, let's say, 0 1 2 3, right? I can do a conditional column on this, and I can make these values more meaningful, right? For example, cs 0 is something like highly paid, or 3 is something like average paid. I can do this thing, and you can enrich your data and make many other things out of this particular task, right? But just for the sake of the length of this video, we have just made few graphs, and like the purpose of this tutorial was to make you understand how do we integrate these two technologies. And now you would be thinking, okay, how complex code that I can run, and what are the limitations of it, and what are the possibilities of it. So see, possibilities are a lot, right? Because like you can also run R scripts, right? You can also use like all of these machine learning code into visualization, right? So possibilities are a lot. I'll talk about limitation part, right? So there are some limited number of libraries that you can run, right? So scikit-learn, pandas, numpy, some analytical libraries are mostly that are available that you can that Power BI can support in running. As of my knowledge, I think some of a deep learning libraries you can run, not all libraries you can run, right? And that thing goes along the way that as you increase the complexity of your code, your results will get slower, right? That thing will happen, right? Once you have prepared the data, getting graphs from it would be easier. But if you have to run that Python script again and again, right? If you are making some pipeline out of it, or you are doing recurring step, or your data is getting refreshed and you want to run that Python script again on it, so you will have some latency in your visualization or in your whole process. So that is one thing that you have to encounter. So that's, I think, enough for this particular video, and in the later videos we'll also talk about how to integrate use the data flows in that is present in Power BI to do machine learning. Yeah, and like just I hope you like this video, and you got to learn something out of it. It's a really good integration of Power BI and machine learning, because it solves a big gap between a data scientist and a data analyst and a business analyst thing. It's kind of integrate the roles together, and it also tells you that Power BI has a lot of potential just apart from dragging and dropping fields and making visualizations. So just keep learning, and do subscribe to Project Pro for more learning videos. There are many videos that are present on the channel right now, and more will be upcoming. So you can just follow along with those videos, learn some good things, and Also, there's some videos where you can make a complete end-to-end project on different aspects of data science and other topics as well. So do subscribe to it, and hope to see you in next videos. Thank you. Happy learning.